Hey church, Pastor Cory here. I have another verse that I would just love to share with you today, and it comes out of Hebrews chapter 10, verse 23. Let's read it together. It says this, "Let us hold fast to the confession of our hope without wavering, for he who promised is faithful." You know, this passage is actually in the greater context of talking about how the sacrifice of animals and their blood was not enough to cover the sins of man. But really, Jesus, who Hebrews often refers to as the high priest, his sacrifice was sufficient. And you know, sacrifice is really a gruesome thing. Like, it is nasty when you think about it. But I think there's a reason and an intentionality behind why animal sacrifice is so gruesome. You know, when you think about it, sin is messy. And our sin, our lives without Christ is very, very messy. But it's really interesting that we would use this sacrifice, the covering of blood, to pay for our sins. You know, I kind of did a little bit of research, about what this animal sacrifice looked like. And it's estimated that on a single day, over 1 million animals could be sacrificed to try and pay for the sins of the people in an area. Think about that. 1 million animals would be sacrificed. Like, that's just incomprehensible to me. And this isn't for eating. Like, this is purely for the sacrifice of blood for the people. And so it's really interesting that Christ, in one death on the cross, paid for the sins of all. I really love what it says here in Hebrews chapter 10, verse 11 through 14. It says this, "And every priest stands daily at his service, offering repeatedly the same sacrifices which can never take away sins. But when Christ had offered for all time a single sacrifice for sins, he sat down at the right hand of God, waiting from that time until his enemy should be made a footstool for his feet. For by a single offering he has perfected for all time those who are being sanctified." Furthermore, I love the words in verse 17. These are incredible. It says this. This is like Christ speaking to us. "I will remember their sins and lawless deeds no more." What a beautiful reminder for us that is. That in the messiness of our sin, and even like, think about this. Imagine where you would be today without Christ. Where would you be right now without Christ? I don't really want to think about that. But it sets perspective for me about what he has done in my life and how thankful that I am for him. I think of the messiness of all those animals that were being slaughtered, and to think that Christ took care of all of that for past, present, and future for me in that moment because he loved me. And that, to me, is beautiful. That is beautiful. So church, I want to encourage you, know that he is with you, he's walking with you. And I want to encourage you with this, just like it says in Hebrews 10, "Let us hold fast the confession of our hope without wavering, for he who promised is faithful." God bless, church. Be encouraged today. Thanks.